Hey YouTube, Meef Magnet here. Um, Working on episode 5 of my Continuum Revamp. Up to the ME network. As you can see here, I kind of got this stuff going. Just wanted to go over a little bit of the things that kind of made my life a little bit easier here. Um, First off, I want to go over this. We did this in the previous episodes, but the matter fabricator. Um, this time through, I made this and actually made it work for me. The reason being is that trying to find diamonds constantly really pissed me off. So I've been dumping this stuff in here, use UU matter, just make it work. The setup here for that, what I've got sitting on top of here is a igneous extruder. Just dumping cobblestone into a recycler. So that stuff's been rolling in there. And what I've been doing is, in order to turn these scrap into scrap box, I've used an auto crafter. All that does is pretty much put all that crap together. Doesn't take any RF to run it. It's just kind of one of those automatic deals, and then pump it straight into the matter fabricator. So as you can see here, it pretty much just loads this up. Over time, it does a pretty good job. I think what I might take and do later on is actually add some more of these just to see how ridiculous I can make this, and then get just stupid with diamonds and emeralds and stuff just because. You'll notice here that since I've got this ME network rolling, I haven't upgraded this void ore miner controller at all. This is tier 1. I've kind of just been rolling with this as is, and the reason for that being is that I know what's coming out of here. I don't have to have any laser lenses. Iron was a huge problem for me. So this being what it is, it pretty much pumps out aluminum, iron, copper, tin, apatite, and coal. So I was pretty much guaranteed this stuff, just kind of let it run, since it is a server instance, let it do its business overnight, and this is kind of what it's been coming up with. I didn't upgrade it on purpose just because it's just the way I did it. You can see there's a few more machines here. I'm going to get over that way in just a bit here. One of the things I did do in order to get this rocking and rolling a little bit further faster was getting these advanced machine casings hooked up and ready to rock, just to hit that 3000 heat mark. With that, you can do tungsten or hot tung steel, and then, you know, whatever from there. The reason for that being such a rush, as I'll show you in just a second here. Let's close the door. You can see I have a reactor here. Now, last game, or the last instance I did of this on the server, I was using this primarily to generate RF. I didn't do that this time through. What I did is that is a single fuel cell rod in there. As you can see here, it is pretty much the only thing it's good for is dumping out cyanide. And the reason for that being is I was trying to get plutonium as fast as I possibly could. What I did skip over is these flux plugs this time through. I didn't bother with it yet. I'm going to need it eventually, but if you look at these flux cores, now each of these flux blocks takes 4 flux cores, and that is an entire iridium alloy plate along with 4 plutonium. Now, plutonium, easiest way to get it is to hook these up like this. Now, that's not a fast process, so bypass this for now, and I'll kind of show you what I did in order to kind of get as far as I did without actually doing anything or any real difficult work. You can see my resonator setup here is pretty much just solar panels like before. I don't have any of the lunar styles. I just didn't need it. You can see here, last instance, my farm was indoors. What I did here is made a shitload of hemp and a shitload of corn. You can see the worms down there doing their business of fertilizing and stuff like that. This stuff is good to go. The size of this is it's relatively large. You can see there's a lot going on right here, but nothing actually spawns inside there once these are all planted out, which is good. So, yeah. So just wanted to go over the farming thing. I keep this up all the time. Just take stuff when I need it. Emeralds is super easy with all that corn. You don't really have to mess around with the UU matter at that point either. You can see here, I've got a significant investment into windmills. these just do their business. Doesn't matter rain or shine, they're going. I was using the immersive engineering windmills at first. They're a little bit more of a pain in the ass to build than these regular windmills, and I'll show you why. This magnum plate does a little bit pain in the ass to get, but you're still relying on hemp to get tough fabric. The generator is a little bit more simple to make. So basic circuits, these are relatively easy to make. It's pretty much tin and redstone. Once you get to that point, you're looking at a silver gear, a couple more silver, and then iron casing. So these are cheap too, iron gears. So the tier 1 stuff on that void ore miner, this is where this really helped out. Now these don't produce a shit ton of energy, but they work out relatively well. I'll show you why I made that work, or how I made it work, in just a second here. Let's take a look at this magnum plate, or magnalium plate, whatever the fuck it is. Advanced alloy here. So let's take a look at this magnesium dust, and we're looking at that through this industrial electrolyzer. This is peridot dust. For every 9 of these, you're looking at 2 of these. It's not that difficult to make those, really, since this is just aluminum. So again, level 1 or tier 1 void miner, shit tons of aluminum coming out of there. This is really a non-issue. So these are pretty easy to make, relatively simple. The next few episodes here, you're probably going to see more once I get back into actually doing stuff with the machinery. Once we kind of get to that point, I'm really going to start automating and actually moving this stuff down. So what do we got here? Let's go take a look. We'll just run back inside. So we're talking about the windmill setup and the way that functions, but I really wanted to go over why and how I was able to produce that ME controller relatively early on in the game. I guess I'm only a couple weeks into this. I really haven't played all that hard. I've upgraded this to a power cell, one of the highest tier ones you could make. These things store 100 million RF, and the output on it is pretty ridiculous. So what I did is I made the proper RF storage for the EFAB, because that's what's required to get a ME controller. And the setup here, it's not all that complicated. There's actually 10 of these bad boys here hooked into some hardened flux duct. You can see here the energy cell goes here with the output set to 3 sides, and then it just does its business. So digital upgrade is expensive. You know that from before if you watched any of my previous episodes, but no big deal there. So as far as storage goes, I didn't do a shit ton of basic drawers like I did before because I fucking hate them. What I did do, however, is use caches from, I'm pretty sure this is thermal expansion. Basic cache, you're looking at 20,000 items here. It just works. So I've been using this for ore setup and then hooking this into a storage scanner. So this has been my preliminary stuff. Once I get the ME controller set up here completely, I'll actually move all this shit out of here, get rid of this stuff, and organize this giant clusterfuck that you see here. What I want to do, show you a lot of my ore processing really quickly here. I've actually been doing through industrial grinder. I've got 4 machine upgrades here, and it literally just pumps that shit out of here like crazy. Works really well. It does take some energy to run that stuff, but if you've got a 100 million RF setup, letting it run for a few hours overnight or whatever, it works relatively well. Industrial squeezer, fermenter, and the actual refinery here, the setup is relatively the same as my other setup. I'm much less dependent on the diesel generator in order to make this stuff work. Investing the time into windmills and then higher energy storage, I'm not having to run this diesel generator. It's set to run, but since this is pretty much full, it's not doing anything. So much less dependent on this and that stupid ass fermenter. Really, if you want to run this setup, you're going to need 2 of these fermenters. That's just the way it goes. So just a heads up there. Behind these doors here, what I've got set up is the mob spawner. Before I did it underground, this time I'm not doing that, but you can see this setup is relatively the same. The only thing I've got going here is on the other side of that is a mob spawner. We've got a mob crusher here with a tier 10 range add-on. These aren't that hard to make. And this thing is just killing the shit out of everything in there. So the cursed earth is actually inside there, spawning, doing its thing. And you can see here, this is kind of just collecting whatever's there. I got a couple trophies. Pull these out of here. As you can see, again, I'm using caches here to kind of organize this. 20,000, you know, of whatever item is out there. This Prismarine shit, I actually had to go out and get a Guardian. And you can see that's right there. Throw these in a mob imprisonment tool and let it go to town. So Ghast, Enderman, Wither Skeleton, Squid, Rabbit, Guardian, Blaze, and that is pretty much, granted there's a Blizz inside there too, but that has pretty much got me whatever I've needed. Especially the snow. I haven't done anything with the glacial precipitator or whatever the fuck it was. I haven't touched any of that stuff. I've been just picking up snowballs and shit from Blizz. So that's kind of the setup so far. This is going to change a little bit and expand, but I'm going to blow it out the backside of this building, and kind of work on that a little bit, and kind of change this up because it's a pretty lifeless building, I guess. So that's about it for this episode. Probably touch base again quick once I'm into some of the other machines that are towards the end here. I think getting into this stuff next is going to happen. There are a few things I'd like to take care of here, especially the crafting stuff, because I am sick and freaking tired of manually crafting stuff by hand. I hate it because I'm lazy. But yeah, so you can see here, once you get to this ME controller, this stuff moves really fast, and then things go a little bit quicker. So that's it for this episode. I'll talk to you later.